Scriptures describe a world situation not unlike what we have today as the great events of the end times commence. The world will be divided into four main power blocks according to Scripture. The Western Confederacy led by the coming Antichrist, the Southern and Northern Coalition comprised of Russia and a host of Islamic nations, and the Eastern Alliance known as the Kings of the East. According to the Bible, an alignment of 10 leaders will emerge in the end times to protect the interests of the West. This Western Confederacy or group of 10 leaders could be something like the G7, the G8, or G20 that's constantly in the headlines today. In Daniel 7:7 and 7:24, this group is symbolized by 10 horns on a beast that represents the last world empire, the Roman Empire in its final and revised form. Many interpreters of Bible prophecy believe that the European Union will be a fulfillment of this predicted alignment of nations. Whether the European Union is the preliminary form of this 10-leader group or whether it's the forerunner of another coalition or union of nations is difficult to predict. But it appears to me that this is an embryonic phase of what the Bible predicts. No one knows how long it will be until the final stage is reached, but when it's fully developed, the final power block, initially led by the group of 10, will constitute the revived Roman Empire, which will have the economic and political power necessary to control the Mediterranean. This final form of the Roman Empire will evidently begin as some form of democracy and then progress to a dictatorship, just like the historical Roman Empire began as a republic and moved to a dictatorship ruled by Caesar. It appears that the future revived Roman Empire will go through three main stages. First, a group of 10 kings or some form of ruling oligarchy within the ancient Roman Empire will appear, described in the Bible as the group of 10. This will mark the first phase of its revival. Second, a strong man will emerge who will consolidate these 10 nations into a united empire and probably extend its borders into various directions. Third, there's the final step of the revived Roman Empire when by declaration or edict its power extends to the entire earth. What has developed in Europe during the last 50 years looks strikingly similar to what the Bible predicts for the end times. The EU today has a 736-member parliament, a parliament building in Strasbourg, France, built to resemble the Tower of Babel, a Supreme Court, a European passport, numerous ruling committees, and one currency that's been approved by 16 of the 27 member nations and is presently in circulation. It's presently working toward a unified military and criminal justice system. The combined population of the EU is now in excess of 500 million. Europe has now emerged as the richest region in the world. In 2007, the U.S. lost its seat to the European Union as the world's largest economy. The EU tried to adopt a constitution, but it was shot down by referendum votes in France and the Netherlands in 2005. So the leaders of Europe circumvented a popular vote and went the route of a treaty that could be approved by representatives of each nation rather than by popular vote. It's known as the Lisbon Treaty. The Lisbon Treaty, which came into effect on December 1st, 2009, is a major step that could be paving the way for one man to rise to ascendancy over Europe. The treaty effectively ended the national sovereignty for most European nations. From this point on, most of the key decisions for the citizens of Europe will be made by a small group of European elitists, many of them unelected. This points toward the group of 10 leaders predicted in Daniel. While the current EU is not the final ultimate fulfillment of the biblical prophecies in Daniel and Revelation, the events in Europe today seem to be the necessary prelude to the reunited Roman Empire prophesied by Daniel over 2,500 years ago. The stage is set for a new alignment of power similar to the revived Roman Empire to promise peace for a world disrupted by catastrophe and on the brink of chaos. We're watching the emergence of an increasingly unified and powerful Roman Empire, just as Bible prophecy tells us to expect in the last days.